Beauty, ain't it? Thin, about a 1/4 inch thick. This is knapped from a slab of agate. This is knapped using Jim Wynn's method, Paleo Man Jim, using an issue stick and a notched rubber pad. Here's some more points made the same way. This one's made from a slab. And this one. And these are made from slabs too. A slab of glass. This section is about deciding what point style to make. That's the next step that the Allergic Hobbit does. You can see that there are a lot of different point styles, and the style he decides to make out of any particular stone is based on his level of efficiency. And your efficiency is getting the most out of every single piece of stone you have. And the goal here is to get the largest and the thinnest point or blade you can out of each piece of stone. You have to start by deciding what you want to make, and then finding an appropriate stone to make that piece. Now, long pieces like this hardened here and like this one here are going to require very long nodules or spalls to be able to get this long piece that's relatively thin. Now, wide pieces like this thieves are going to require something like tabular pieces in order to get this thin profile but still be very wide. Here's another one that was made out of a tabular piece. Very thin but really wide. Now, really extravagant pieces that are super thin and super long, like this Lost Lake here, are probably going to have to be pressure flaked out of slabs. Now, you can get these slabs pre-cut from eBay, and if you get it thin enough, you don't even have to use any kind of percussion. All you do is use a pressure flaker, pressure flake all the saw marks off. This one was slabbed out of a piece of glass, and then shape it and notch it. That's a great way to start flint knapping. That's the most efficient way you can use your material, because there's no waste to it. You don't have any debitage from trying to reduce the piece. But when you get more advanced in flint knapping, you're probably going to want to do some kind of reduction where you get a big flake or a spall or a big chunk like that and try to reduce it down yourself. Here's one I made from a tabular piece. This didn't get to be as wide as I wanted, so I made it into a big Kirk serrated that I'm proud of. Now, the size of the stone you start with is going to depend on three things. The style of point you want to make, your skill level, and the thickness and the toughness of the stone you're trying to use. The thicker a stone is, the more edge you're going to lose trying to thin it. And the tougher a stone is to work with, the same thing. About the best you can hope for when trying to do reduction through either direct percussion or indirect percussion is to end up with a finished piece that's half the size of the piece you started with. And most people are not going to be that efficient. They're going to end up with a finished piece that's about 30 to 40% of what the original piece started out as. Would you believe that this little biface right here started out as a chunk bigger than that? The problem was, when I got this stuff from eBay, the guy must have used a sledgehammer or something to spoil that big chunk I started with, because when I started tapping on it, it just crumbled. It was like it was full of cracks on the inside. And when I got to the core, it was like trying to chip on concrete with a claw hammer. You can see how grainy this is, even after being heat treated. I mean, it was really tough material. So that's what I ended up with out of a big chunk like that. Now, I did end up with some flakes that I can use, and I heat treated these also, and I'll be able to make small points out of those. But what I was hoping for was a big blade, something like this, but I didn't end up with that. Now, these two here are a different story. They started out as just regular small tabular pieces, about 4 or 5 inches long. And this is Texas root beer flint, which in my opinion is the best type of flint to work with, because it holds together well, it doesn't crush, and it's not too tough. You can use it raw. I made these two using direct percussion, because I'm more efficient with direct percussion when starting out with large tabular pieces, and I'm more confident that I can turn out wider and thinner pieces using direct percussion. And this is an easier stone for me to work with than even obsidian is. Now, to me, obsidian is just too soft. I'm not very adept at using it with direct percussion because the platforms will crush too easily, and to me it overshoots way too easy, and I'm just not that good at using it. So if I was going to try to make a piece like this using obsidian, I would have to start with a much larger piece and hope I didn't break it, so I would end up with something this size. So all in all, what you're going to have to do is you're either going to have to decide what you want to make and then find a stone that you can make that out of using your own level of efficiency, or you're going to have to pick out a stone like this and decide what you can make out of it.